Formula 1 arrives in Monaco for the third round of the 2021 season, with the news that nobody had actually bought any upgrades because of the tight token system in place for this season and next season. Leclerc arrives at home Grand Prix hoping that he and Ferrari will be able to pull up a strong result, especially the fact that Monaco doesn't have to rely on engine power, which Ferrari suspect is where they are losing a lot of time. They also think they're losing a little bit on the aero compared to the teams around them, but hopefully they can hope that Carlos Sainz will be able to get into a top 10 finish by the end of the race. Meanwhile, Mercedes are hoping that their performances will be able to push them up the field and hopefully will be aiming for first, although Verstappen and Red Bull do look ultimately faster than them throughout practice, with Mercedes say they are going to try and counteract that with upgrades to come in the following European rounds. Meanwhile, at McLaren, their main concern was about their tyre strategy. Both cars have qualified in the top 10 but have used the soft tyre, which has been the worst tyre, with Ricciardo slamming Pirelli for bringing such bad tyres, especially the soft tyre, which wears off a lot more than the medium and hards. And with that then, Max Verstappen took pole ahead of George Russell, the first non-Mercedes man to be on pole in 2021. Fernando Alonso lines up P3. Nico Hülkenberg with his best qualifying performance of the year. He starts in P4 on the second row, exactly where Red Bull want him to be. Sebastian Vettel once again lines up P5 for the third time in a row. He's joined by Charles Leclerc, who will definitely be happy with his performance, who starts down in 6th place. Lance Stroll starts in 7th in the Aston Martin, ahead of Esteban Ocon, his best qualifying performance of the season, although he's still well off his pace of his teammate Alonso. And it's all McLaren 5th row, the last two people to be in the top 10. Lewis Hamilton failed to get into Q2 because he only set one run on a set of medium tyres and didn't come out again, which got knocked out. Carlos Sainz starts 12th, only just 1,000th ahead of Pierre Gasly, who starts 13th. Peter Harmson is alongside him on row 7, best result so far for Williams. Yuka Tsunoda got into Q2 for the first time in his F1 career. He starts only in 15th, Danny Kvyat in 16th, Alex Albon knocked out in Q1. Both AlphaTauris there disappointed with their performance. He starts alongside Mick Schumacher, who's no longer on the last row of the grid. And at the back is Callum Ilott and Sergio Perez, who did qualify 16th but takes a penalty for a change of gearbox. And now it's time for the race. Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another video of the F1 Project Phoenix at 2021 career mode. Today we're doing the third round of the season at Monaco. Obviously no Spain because it's been resurfaced for turn 10, so I'm sure Spain will return in a future season, but for now we're here at Monaco. It looks okay, it looks dry, which is good because obviously we don't want the rain to come, which we know it can do. But we'll see the BBC forecast in a moment. Monaco, though, we've actually had some good races here in the past. If you remember back to Final Fantasy Season 3, those of you who've been subscribed since then thank you. We're actually close to 300 subscribers as well. We'll see if we can get there by the end of the year. But yes, that was definitely a very good race. Winning, I might have spoiled that, but anyway, it is going to rain at the end of the race as well, so we'll see if that actually happens, if the rain does come, because it's obviously looking beautiful and sunny now, but obviously it might get to a point where we have a few droplets in the final few laps, but doesn't warrant it to be actually raining, but we'll see. Anyway, Ferrari lights are on, and away we go. A little bit hold there, and it's a good start. We're ahead of Gasly initially and Sainz, but then we get pinched by Norris in the McLaren, who's trying to go around the outside of Hamilton, who's lost the position on the inside to his fellow Brit driver, who, of course, Hamilton, shocking that he didn't come out for a second run in Q2 on the soft tyres, and is now paying the price as he starts down in 11th place. He is going down the inside of Norris. They've been going side by side pretty much through this entire section. As you can see, that Ocon and Ricciardo, are going side by side as well. As Hamilton takes a bit more curbing and then eventually gets ahead of Norris, who we look at the front of this grid, then obviously Verstappen and Russell, they're obviously going to be doing the one stop ahead of the likes of Hulkenberg, who's got ahead of Alonso on the start, and Vettel, who will be doing the two stop from the soft tyres. And you can already see people are starting to come in. The soft tyres are pretty much dead. They've gone off the cliff, and all of a sudden we're up the inside of Lando Norris and up into P6 onto lap 7. And this was actually quite one of the better DRS overtakes. Done corner cut as well. Both of us gave each other room. I think Lando deep down knows that he is pretty much not going to get any points this race. Remember, points for the top 8 in this series as well. As you can see how much we've actually opened up to Norris just on one lap. So that's how much he was holding us up. So yes, time is still not really improving, but I'm sure they'll start to improve, especially now the Fords and the Alfa Romeos are lapping definitely slower than us. And you can see that Hulkenberg, the likes of Vettel, Leclerc and Alonso are all getting stuck behind the likes of the Ford of Perez and Ilott, who started on the back row of the grid as well. So that's why they've sort of come up to it. Hulkenberg has a little look at Ilott around the outside, nothing to do in there, and Hulkenberg just has to sit behind, not being able to make any moves, and he just sits behind lap after lap after lap, which is the problem, of course, with traffic in Monaco. And as we move to lap 17, it's time for our stop. Sainz is in as well. He has been catching us, Sainz, but obviously he hasn't been able to get ahead of us. As Gasly is going to go through, and I think also the AlphaTauri Kvyat, who's having a good season. He's had a good start to the season, Kvyat, beating the Albon comfortably, as well as Schumacher goes through as well. Can we get ahead of Schumacher on the pit exit? No, we can't. So we're going to have to sit behind the German in the Alfa Romeo. So we now get very close to Schumacher out of the chicane. Can we have a look through there? No, not quite. This is going to probably have to be. If he does, I'm hoping he comes in, because he is going so slow. His tyres are just as bad as Norris's were on the end of lap 7. Lap 6 gone on lap 7. Eventually he does come in, and he's gonna get his DRS as well as to Gasly and Norris. So Hulkenberg is now out in P6 behind Sainz, and Kvyat has jumped Gasly in the pit stops, and they are all ahead in the top 8. So Hulkenberg is the only one in the top 8 on a two-stop strategy, as Hulkenberg has now been lapped by Verstappen. So the one stop is definitely the way to go for this race, but Hulkenberg is definitely now coming back at Verstappen. Christian Horner will definitely not like this, neither will Helmut Marko, because they're very fine close to putting one or each other in the barrier. But eventually Hulkenberg does make it around the outside, but Hulkenberg then gets a blue flag, so he gets lapped again, and eventually starts making up positions, gets ahead of the Ford of Sonoda, who's sort of gone backwards a little bit ahead of he's behind the AlphaTauri. So he jumped now to lap 32. Not a lot's been going on in this stint, so he jumped now to Lando Norris, who's gone around the outside of Perez, who's been rear-ended by the Aston Martin. I think that was Vettel and Alonso there. So that brings out the safety car. I think that's definitely Perez's fault, but also Perez's fault in the contact with Lando. But then with Vettel, he just needs to be more patient there. As we jump, the safety cars come out, and we jump to lap 35 now. We still haven't caught up to the safety car, because Max Verstappen was some 50 seconds in front. You can see pretty much he's lapped pretty much the entire field. And of course, being in game, the F1 2020 game, lap cars don't overtake. There's one of the AlphaTauris, which I believe is in the last points playing position. So there are points available for those things. You can see there Hulkenberg is ahead of Mick Schumacher as well. So we're all going to have to come in now at the end of lap 36 because it is pouring down with rain. We're going to have to come in for a set of intermediate tyres. I mean, it does look like we could probably go to the full wets, but there's not enough standing water accumulated on the track yet, so we'll have to wait and see. I don't think we're going to get on the wets, but everybody's coming in, and this is the advantage of being in the Williams because we're at the end of the pit lane. Obviously, some teams double stacking. One of the Mercedes, I think now as Hamilton goes on, we've got an unsafe release. I think that's from Leclerc because Sainz is behind us, and Leclerc's been lapped as well. Pretty much the entire field has been lapped actually by Verstappen. 2.3 seconds off, and that we've come out. We've retained P4. We're trying to now lap Mick Schumacher, but the Mercedes dot up ahead is the Mercedes of George Russell, who was some 40 seconds ahead of us before the safety car, and now he's just there. I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to get what will be P2 because although Hamilton, what's going to happen with Hamilton? Is he going to try and go to the end and try and nick the race win? Although not for driving like that, he's not. He's gone deep into the corner and he's losing the back end as he tries to find the grip that isn't there. And eventually Hamilton does come in on lap 37. I don't know why Mercedes didn't double stack because he's lost the podium. And Hamilton was some 20. He was half a minute ahead of us. He could have come in at the start with the safety car, but it wasn't there. So we're going to come through for a podium. Nevertheless, the podium that we got heartbroken last week at Bahrain when Hulkenberg overtake and we made that mistake in the second DRS zone, and now we're coming through for our first podium. It's going to be a double point score for Williams as well, as we've crashed a lot along the line, but it doesn't matter there. It's P3 for us. That's Williams' first podium since 2015, I think. Oh no, 2017, excuse me, Lance Stroll at Azerbaijan. Obviously, Verstappen was untouchable. Mercedes have got to go back to the drawing board because they were so slow. Russell had no answer to Verstappen today. Sainz gets his first points of the season, but sort of got stuck in that traffic. Otherwise, I think he was definitely going to catch us there. Gasly gets his first points as well in P5. Hamilton will be disappointed. Yes, he did manage to come through for P6 because everybody else had been lapped. So, and Kvyat, I mean, the AlphaTauri isn't the best car on the grid. It's actually one of the back markers, but they get their first points of the season, which might be crucial for that all-important prize money. And compared to the likes of Ford and Alfa Romeo, Mick Schumacher unlucky, couldn't get past Albon in the end and comes home in P9. I suspect blue flags also because I think Verstappen was around there with Schumacher, and we also lapped Schumacher as well, so that really didn't help Schumacher's cause really in the fight against Albon. Alonso once again does the extra stop and still manages to come in 10th position. So yes, Tsunoda as well gets his best result this season. Ricciardo, Leclerc, Hulkenberg and Stroll will all be disappointed and not to get in the points, not to be able to make the strategy work. Ilott comes in 16th. Norris struggled. I think he most likely had a front wing change with Ocon, and Vettel doing a 5-stop. Really bad day for the German in the office. Don't know why he was doing a 5-stop. Nobody even doing a 4-stop, so don't know what there. And Perez, of course, getting annihilated by Vettel really at the final corner. With Verstappen now, he's 14 points clear ahead of Russell. That's more than a race victory now in this series. Russell, of course, moving up into second place ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who had a bad day. Alonso drops to 4th, and we've actually drawn level on points. So from second to sixth place is actually quite tight. And then obviously Sainz and Gasly are literally the only two that actually score points in the remaining parts of the top 12. And now Red Bull still lead the way, despite the fact Mercedes did outscore them today, with Aston Martin retaining P2 over Mercedes. Williams move out to fourth ahead of Alpine and McLaren. That's good for us, although can we stay that, I don't know, with the midfield three pushing forwards, and we'll have to wait and see what happens in the next track, which will be Italy as well. So I don't think the tyre strategy really is going to be there. AlphaTauri get their first points of the season as well, so they're going to be looking forward to seeing what seeing if they can hold on to eighth place for that all important prize money. But yes, if you have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see more episodes of the F1 Project Phoenix, a 2021 career mode as and when it comes out. Until the next video, I'll see you next time. Take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.